Birds don't have teeth, but their beaks can be used as weapons too. These imperial shags are using their long, pointed bills like rapiers. Some birds also use a combination of weapons. Egyptian geese fight not only with their beaks, but with the hard, bony elbows of their wings, which they use to buffet their rivals. In the absence of any weapons, brute force is often brought into play. The desert tortoise propels its body forward to try and shunt its adversary backwards. The larger tortoise has a clear advantage. It also uses a forward-pointing extension of its undershell to try and lever its rival onto its back. And finally, it succeeds. On the Galapagos Islands, large numbers of marine iguanas live on the rocks of the tidal zone. These prehistoric-looking reptiles frequently compete with each other for the available females. Again, it's largely a contest of strength, which in each case decides the victor. The real giants of the animal world can also put their enormous weight to good use when it comes to conflict. Southern elephant seals haul ashore on islands in the subantarctic in order to breed. The bull seals engage in heavyweight clashes as they fight for possession of the females. The thick coating of blubber on their necks and forequarters helps to cushion the shock of impact as they deal each other sledgehammer blows with their huge bodies. Like the elephant seals, elephants themselves also use their massive bodies as battering rams when they fight. Young elephants frequently test each other's strength by indulging in pushing matches. A trial of strength will also determine which of these two adders is the stronger. With their bodies intertwined, each snake tries to force the other down to the ground, like human wrestlers. This behavior is sometimes described as the adder's dance, but it's actually a fight between males, and the winner will get to mate with any nearby female. Trials of strength occur underwater too. African cichlid fish live in freshwater lakes. When two rivals of the same species meet, they lock hold of each other with their bony mouths and then begin a sort of submarine tug-of-war. The stronger fish will eventually pull or push its rival out of the way. As well as the weapons they use, animals have many methods of warning others of their aggressive intent. Often, these signs prevent physical contact taking place at all. Many species of tropical reef fish sport vivid colors in rich patterns. These fish are often highly territorial, and their brilliant poster paint coloration acts as a warning to others of their species to keep away. The individual colors and patterns are different for each kind of reef fish. Each can distinguish its own species from all the others and can therefore take evasive action when meeting another of its kind. This means actual fighting rarely becomes necessary. Sound is equally effective in advertising an animal's feelings of aggression. During the breeding season, the males of many species of deer develop loud voices with which they announce their readiness to fight and mate. The robin's sweet-sounding song has its roots in enmity too, for it's actually a warning to other robins to keep out of its territory. The reed bunting's simple tune conveys a similar message. All birdsong contains a hostile undertone. Even the beautiful notes of the nightingale are simply a declaration of its territory. In some animals, sound is combined with smell in order to emphasize the message more strongly. Marking the bushes with their own scent helps these male lions to underline their ownership of this territory. When strange lions smell this scent, they can avoid being attacked by the residents if they take note and don't intrude any further. Once again, it's a method which serves to prevent actual fighting. The leopard sprays grasses and bushes with its own individual scent, which can be identified by other leopards living in the same area. This helps these solitary cats to advertise their territories without having to meet with each other. Male Thomson's gazelles mark the boundaries of their invisible territories too. They scent mark grass blades, using an oily secretion produced from glands beneath the eyes. Many species can give advance warning that they're prepared to fight by using body language. In baboons, the adult males threaten each other by elaborately yawning. This exposes their sharp canine teeth to a would-be rival. Mudskippers are found living along tropical shores. At low tide, these strange-looking little fish emerge onto the exposed mud using their fins as modified legs. When excited or aggressive, a mudskipper raises the dorsal fin on its back, a clear signal to other mudskippers to give it some space. The male Nyala antelope has a ridge of long dorsal hair along its spine, which it can raise as a form of display. In mammals, hair raising often serves to show that an animal is feeling aggressive or excited. When two bull Nyala meet, a simple display with raised dorsal manes allows them to size each other up without having to come to blows. The raised wings of the mute swan as it surges through the water are the avian equivalent of hair raising. If two swans come to blows, the fighting may be fierce indeed. Powerful wings and strong beaks are used in a bitter struggle for supremacy. Elephants use another form of body language to show they're upset. Raising the large ears makes an elephant look even bigger and more intimidating. But other animals use displays to avoid fighting altogether. Fighting always carries the risk of injury for animals, and therefore lessens their chances of survival. So in place of physical confrontation, many species use threats and displays instead. A group of mountain gorillas is always led by an adult male, the silverback. Sometimes a rival male will confront the leader in order to try to take his group away from him. The two males will indulge in a complex series of displays as they size each other up. Hooting and chest beating help to relieve the tension. Neither male looks directly at the other, for as in ourselves, to stare is an open threat. Finally, the interloper decides to retreat. No harmful contact has taken place. Many other primates have developed peaceful means to control their animosity. Grooming the fur of another monkey allows close bodily contact. It also has another important function, for it helps to underline the social ties between the members of the troop and keeps them on friendly terms. In birds, the equivalent is preening the feathers. A jackdaw turns its beak away from its partner to show that it doesn't intend a threat. In return, its mate preens the silvery feathers of the nape. This helps to reduce any aggressive feelings between the pair and cement the bond between them. Black-headed gulls take this form of peacemaking, called appeasement, even further still. It's thought that the dark hood of the gull's breeding plumage serves as an aggressive signal. So when a mated pair greet each other, they turn their heads away. We might call this turning the other cheek. With so many birds close together in a large colony, tensions often run high. This female further avoids her mate's aggression by begging from him as if she were a chick. The male responds, and the act of feeding her reduces any aggression he may harbor. In this way, the female ensures he doesn't attack her by mistake. Some birds, like terns, actually bring their partners a present in order to show their peaceful intentions. Offering a fish clearly indicates that the male tern means his mate no harm, and it's part of the bird's courtship display. Once he's given her the fish, the male continues to reinforce his position as her suitor. Like black-headed gulls, kittiwakes also nest in crowded colonies, but on narrow cliff ledges. The young kittiwakes have their own distinctively marked plumage, which the adult birds recognize and which they will not attack. This keeps the juveniles safe when squabbles break out on the nesting ledges. This form of aggression control is vitally important if the unfledged young kittiwakes are not to lose their footing and fall into the sea. Another way in which animals living in groups reduce their aggressive feelings is by establishing a hierarchy or order of rank. The winner of this contest between the two bison will become the dominant animal. A pack of wolves has a strict rank order in which each member knows its place. The top-ranking wolf advertises its status with a confident bearing and tail held high. Any wolf which adopts a submissive posture, rolling over on the ground like a puppy, is automatically safeguarded from a real attack. The wolves may threaten and snarl, but no blood will be shed. The subordinate wolf also keeps its tail held at a low angle. This is a clear signal to the higher-ranking wolf that its dominance is respected. But it still seems determined to reinforce its superior status. While the subordinate wolf grovels on the ground, it's safe from the teeth of the dominant male, which won't press home an attack as long as it stays in this position. Rank orders are designed to allow animals to live in harmony within a group with a minimum of fighting. Birds frequently have a rank, or pecking order, too. Dominant male house sparrows have the largest black bibs. It's a visual sign to the other sparrows that the owner of a large bib is a high-ranking individual, while the owner of a small bib is lower in the hierarchy. But scientists have recently discovered that male house sparrows don't always respect this rule. Some low rankers try to bluff their way up the hierarchy by developing large black bibs designed to fool the others into thinking they have an exalted status. For house sparrows at least, a rank order is obviously not something that is respected by all. In some species of animals, competition begins even in infancy. In litters of newborn young, some will be stronger than others, and these will eventually assume higher status. For an infant cheetah, this will mean a place at the most favored teat and the warmest sleeping position. So aggression starts almost as soon as the cubs are born, for the struggle for food and warmth invariably creates competition between litter mates. As a litter of young animals grows, its rank order starts to become more firmly established. The games of these hunting dog puppies serve to pinpoint their relative strengths and weaknesses. Aggression plays a part here too, but it's still harmless in the form of the pup's boisterous tug of war. This sibling rivalry is common in our own children too. Play also helps young animals to acquire the skills they'll need in adult life. It also helps them to determine their own strength and status and keeps actual fighting to a minimum. In some species, the playful actions of young animals mirror exactly the fighting behavior of the adults. So for animals like the South American vicuna, play might almost be described as a youthful form of combat. In their juvenile games, the young vicunas are practicing exactly the same movements which as adults they could use in a full-scale fight. But sometimes aggression in young animals is more sinister. A buzzard chick attacks a weaker sibling. By killing its nestmate, the young buzzard will guarantee a greater food supply for itself. This behavior is found in some other birds too, such as herons. It's called the Cain and Abel syndrome, and is another way of ensuring the survival of the fittest. When animals are competing for sexual partners, levels of aggression often rise sharply. But for many species, like the caribou, this occurs for only a short period during the year. Caribou bulls challenge and fight each other for possession of the females for just a few weeks every autumn. Only during this period, known as the rut, will the caribou fight. For these few weeks of the year, they're in a highly charged and aggressive state, a condition brought about by changed hormonal levels. But outside of the rutting season, caribou males live quite peaceably together. Sexual aggression is found in many species. In some, like deer and salmon, mating time is a frenetic affair when males compete with each other for the available females. This results in high levels of fighting. The male salmon are well prepared for this. Before the breeding season, they undergo a remarkable physical transformation. Their jaws become hooked and armed with rows of sharp teeth with which to attack their rivals. Even inoffensive insects, like the damselfly, become aggressive towards their own kind when there's a female at stake. Each male is trying to get a grip on the female's body in order to mate with her. No holds are barred as the males battle for their prize. Many animals have developed strategies to prevent their sexual aggression from spilling over to their prospective partners. In spring, cock capercaillies strut and posture in the northern pine forests, both to advertise themselves to the females and also to warn rival males away from their territories. At the same time of year, grey-lag geese are preparing for another breeding season. Pairs of geese remain faithful partners for many years, possibly for life. Geese are highly aggressive birds, and a strong bond is important in preventing them from fighting their own partners. White-fronted geese use the same system of bonding. The two members of a pair have very close ties, and together they form a united front, driving others away from their own territory. Ducks, on the other hand, have no such close ties. Instead, the drakes have elaborate courtship displays which they use each spring. By displaying, this long-tailed drake is advertising to his would-be partner that he means her no harm and would like her as a mate. Tensions always run high at the start of the breeding season as males compete for females. But the great-crested grebe has taken courtship a stage further. To prevent any animosity developing in the early stages of their pairing, the two prospective partners offer each other presents, pieces of weed they've carried up from the bottom of the lake. It's a sort of peace offering. Its purpose is to eliminate any lingering feelings of fear or hostility they may harbor and to cement a bond between them for the coming breeding season. But in other animals, family ties are much looser. In a family of lions, the cubs are fathered indiscriminately by the pride males. If the pride is taken over by a new male, these cubs are immediately at risk. The new male's behavior has a fundamental reason. It's based on his desire to father his own offspring. Without his predecessor's cubs around, their mothers will come into season more rapidly, and he will be able to mate with them sooner. Infanticide is a form of aggression which is still being learned about. It seems to occur in some group-living species. A study of Indian langurs has shown that infanticide often occurs when new males take over a troop. They kill all the babies under about 6 months old, again in order to breed more quickly with their mothers. In the animal kingdom, infanticide can also take the form of outright cannibalism. This large Nile crocodile is raiding a nest of newly hatched young. Baby crocodiles are usually transported to the water in their mother's powerful jaws, but this adult is simply digging the babies out in order to make a meal of them. Relatively few species have reason to kill their own young, but some other causes of animal aggression are much more common. One of the most important causes of aggression in the animal kingdom is the need for sufficient space in which to live. The ownership of territory is vital to many species, and an animal's personal space often needs to be vigorously defended. For the solitary mole, the rule is one mole to each tunnel system, and any others must be vigorously repelled. The Siamese fighting fish is well named. The vivid colors and long flowing fins of the male act as warning signals to other male Siamese fighters to keep away. These fish are so aggressive that the males will sometimes fight to the death if denied their individual territories by being confined closely together. Warning signals come in many forms. The fiddler crab's single enlarged claw announces to all the other fiddler crabs on the shore that this little bit of beach is already occupied. But the fiddler's big claw can also be used as an offensive weapon in the event of a territorial dispute. The size of an animal's territory depends on how big an area it can defend from others. In a huge colony of breeding seabirds, like gannets, each pair needs sufficient space in which to make their own nest. Under the intensely crowded conditions in the gannetry, all the nests are spaced the same distance apart, just out of reach of the stabbing bills of their neighbors. The gannet's long bills make very effective weapons, and returning birds must run the gauntlet of their hostile neighbors before they can reach the safety of their own nests. Space is at a premium too for grey seals when they come ashore around the windswept coasts of the British Isles to breed. In autumn, the seals haul out onto small shingle beaches below the cliffs. There's usually very little space clear of the pounding surf, but each seal tries to secure a little piece of the beach for itself. The weaker ones are sometimes forced to remain just offshore until they can find space on the beach. And there's another thing animals will fight over too. Because so many vultures drop in to join the feast, they all have to fight for a place at the carcass. And it's always the strongest and most aggressive which end up with the richest pickings. Some creatures live together in huge numbers. To survive this way, aggression must be non-existent. All the members of a single wood ant nest live together in total harmony, bound together by their common identity. But if wood ants from another colony should visit, their strange scent is likely to inflame hostilities, and they will be ejected and probably killed in the process. Honeybees, too, have a strong sense of community identity. The members of a hive recognize and accept each other by smell, but stranger bees or other insects, such as a wasp, will immediately be intercepted and ejected from the hive. The bees show no mercy. The wasp is roughly bundled away and then left to die on the outskirts of the hive. All house mice living in one colony are impregnated with the same smell as a way of advertising their communal identity. A strange mouse, which smells different, will automatically be attacked. Away from its own territory, the trespasser is less sure of itself. It fights less vigorously and is eventually put to flight. Hyenas also have a strong group identity. They live in loose social gatherings called clans. Out on the African plains, each hyena clan occupies its own large territory. The boundaries are marked with scent and droppings. If strange hyenas enter this territory, the residents will chase them away and sometimes even kill them. But when two evenly matched clans meet along the invisible boundary between their territories, the outcome is less certain. Neither clan has the advantage, and so a stalemate results. Aggression is commonly found between members of the same species, but it's much rarer between different kinds of animals. This butterfly blenny is trying to repel a starfish, which is threatening to take over its home in an old glass bottle. The blenny is defending what it considers to be its own territory. These coots are putting up a spirited defense of their nest site. The swans don't mean any real harm, but the coots are taking no chances. Even though the swans are much bigger, the coots are so protective of their nest, the difference in size seems to be forgotten. The sight of a predator near their young is often sufficient to stimulate normally timid creatures into reacting aggressively. The North American curved-billed thrashers are defending their brood from a red coachwhip snake. Their protective instincts outweigh all the fear they'd normally have of approaching this predator. Instead, they use their beaks as weapons to try and drive the snake away. When an African monitor lizard is on the hunt, nesting birds like the water dickops are always on the alert. The monitors prey on eggs and chicks. both birds leave their young to face the danger. Spreading their wings is a threat display, designed both to distract and to frighten off the lizard from the vicinity of their nest. Finally, the danger is past, and one parent returns to its chick. Except in defense of the young, aggressive behavior between different species is rare. Most animals live peaceably alongside other species which share their habitat. But the hippo and the buffalo have met on the same trail, and neither wants to give way. Each threatens in the manner of its own species. The hippo yawns, while the buffalo lowers its massive head. In slow motion, the hippo's open-mouthed threat has a clear advantage over the buffalo's fighting method. The encounter was heavily in the hippo's favor. In the animal world, aggression is commonplace, but there's always a good reason. It may be caused by competition for a mate, the need to defend a territory, or in order to get enough food. Even so, animals have also evolved a wide range of methods to avoid bloodshed. Signals, sounds, and colors all act as warnings of aggressive intent to reduce the need for physical conflict. And many species have evolved behavior which is designed to promote peace and harmony. Perhaps in this, other species have something to teach those most aggressive animals of all, ourselves.
It only takes a moment to discover the beauty around you. Hi, I'm Bill Stubbs, host of Moment of Luxury.
Quiet talk, an ancient tapestry. Just look, you'll find your treasure, and joy beyond all measure. When you find your moment of luxury.
Coming up next.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves with more of the best of Europe. Every Italy connoisseur. Prague has always been beautiful. In Germany, the Irish civilization, the Eiffel Tower was built. I hope you've enjoyed the magic of that.